Hello and welcome to Conversations. I'm Robin Torres, your host, and our guests today are Kamal, Malcolm, and Dana Washington. Also joining us later will be Derica Morgan from VitaZest. Kamal and Malcolm Washington are the creators of the book titled Dr. Diabetes. The adventures captured in their comic books are meant to spread awareness about the disease and empower those who have it. Their comic books tell stories of children who learn they have diabetes. Not only are these brothers and their comic books receiving local attention, they are also receiving attention on a national level. Welcome and thank you for being with us today. Kamal and Malcolm, can you tell me just a little bit about yourselves?
My name is Kamal Washington. I'm 16 years old and I attend Washington High School, and I graduate in 2012.
Very good.
My name is Malcolm Washington and I'm 14 years old and I graduate in 2013.
Okay. Now before we get into the comic book, I wanted to ask you, Kamal, what age were you when you discovered you had been diagnosed with diabetes type 1?
When I was diagnosed, I was 9 years old. I was in the 5th grade.
And what were some of the symptoms you were experiencing?
Well, the symptoms were like having to go to the bathroom a lot, like having unquenchable thirst, like drinking and never like satisfies you, and then like my mouth would become like super dry, like to where it felt like I had cotton in my mouth, which was causing me to drink more pop and more juice, which wasn't really good because at the time I didn't know I had diabetes, and I'm just drinking sugar after sugar, which is making my blood sugar raise constantly.
Okay, and at what point, Dana, did you realize this was a problem and you had to get him to the doctor?
Right. We were actually out of town when Kamal was diagnosed, and when we first got there, we were going to do a community effort in St. Louis, and so he just kept saying he was thirsty, kept saying his mouth felt like he had cotton in it. Then he was getting more, having more symptoms of nausea and stuff like that, feeling like he was going to have to throw up and all those different things. And so the thirst thing really kind of pricked something in my mind, because as a mom, you know, you're trying to figure out what's going on. And he'd go back and forth saying that he was sick, then he'd say he'd feel better. So I kept telling my husband, Alonzo, I said, well, isn't that a symptom of diabetes, being really thirsty? And then his fingers were tingling. And so that really made me be very alarmed. So I eventually decided to go ahead and take him into the emergency room. And when they came back and told me that they thought he had type 1 diabetes, that they were going to run some tests, but that those were the very common signs of childhood diabetes. And so I was just very hurt, crushed, and knowing that there was no cure for the illness, and also that it would be something that would affect his whole entire life, how he ate, that he would have to take insulin, so he'd have to take shots daily. And so being that Kamal was my child that really did not like needles, that was something that I was trying to figure out, how are we going to wrap his mind about having to get 6 to 8 shots a day.
And how was that for you when the doctors told your mom and dad what this was? What were the feelings that were going through your head?
Well, like when I was first diagnosed, I had no clue what it was at all. I was 9, so I didn't have any clue about like basically any diseases. So I'm just like, is it lethal? Will I die or whatever? And just like, can I take care of myself and just make it go away, or if there's a cure or not? So I was scared, and then when they told me I had to get shots, it was not good. Like when I first started out, I was not a big fan of needles. Like now, I've got more, like I've gotten used to it, like needles don't affect me. Back then, being little and being scared of needles, it just wasn't a good combination.
And one of the other things that I want to add is, when he was diagnosed, it was like a week before Halloween. And even though we don't particularly celebrate the holiday, we do alternatives to Halloween, it's still one of the biggest candy eating days of the year for kids. He could not, being that he was just diagnosed and his blood sugar was running so high, he could not have anything. So it was a life-altering event for him. And so we really felt bad, you know, that all of his classmates, you know, they have the parties and stuff at school and everything. So that's when it really hit home that this is going to be something that's going to change forever, you know, how he's able to eat and participate in things. So it was really life-shattering. You know, I'm really not going to sugarcoat it. It was not something I wanted to hear. I cried so many tears, and at first I thought it was something that I did, or could I have done something to prevent it? And that is something that, you know, people should know. It's not something that you know, you did or didn't do. You know, it's just something where your pancreas stops working and stops producing insulin, and so you have to be able to get insulin through another means.
So when you were gathering informational resources and trying to teach your family about diabetes, what was it that you didn't know? I mean, I know that you knew some of the signs and symptoms, but tell us something that you really didn't know about diabetes that the viewers would really want to know.
Well, first of all, I was never familiar with juvenile diabetes. I was more familiar, there was more information out about diabetes, type 2 diabetes, which you think about an older person or a person that's overweight or obese. You think about diabetes in those cases. But in this scenario, Kamal was completely fit, was a healthy, you know, little kid running around playing, just doing all the normal stuff that kids do, and then all of a sudden, all these symptoms start coming on. And another thing that can happen to kids is that they can start having bedwetting out of nowhere where they've never had those problems before. And so those are other things that can happen to a child. So I was just confused, you know, it really was, I wasn't familiar with childhood diabetes. So when they said that, I was like, well, he's not overweight, you know, and I was just really baffled at how this little kid at 9 years old could be diagnosed with such a serious illness.
How did you, Jamal, take the news?
Well, I didn't know, just like him, anything. I didn't know anything about diabetes. Like, I was scared when I first heard that he had it, because I was like, hear it on like TV, like people talking about it, and I didn't know if it was gonna kill him or not. And that's basically how we decided to make the comic book, because there was nothing really kid friendly in the hospital to show them the signs and symptoms and what you gotta do to take care of your diabetes in the hospital.
How did you break the news to your other children?
That's one thing that I take very seriously. So when we talk to other families and we expressed our concern at how the news was broken to Kamal because they're so little, I think that the parent and the doctor should really discuss all of that first and then come in and talk to the child, because the way that it was dropped on him, you know, they just came out and said it. You know, this is something that is going to affect the rest of your life. You're not going to be able to eat sugar. You're going to have to take these shots. You know, it was just straight out, you know, no buffer, I felt, you know, to kind of talk to him about it, but not just lay it on him like that, like it was a death sentence almost. So I was upset at one particular person and how they delivered the information. But after that, after getting with the endocrinologist and meeting with his regular pediatrician, and we were able to explain it more so that it is a manageable illness. You can still live a long and healthy life. You just have to adjust how you eat, exercise. There are so many people that live with type 1 diabetes. Celebrities, politicians. Halle Berry is type 1 diabetic, the Olympic swimmer, he was a type 1 diabetic. There's just many people that are thriving, excelling, being very successful, and living with the disease, and not letting it be something that just overwhelms them, and they feel like that, you know, it changes what they can do in life.
Tell me about some of the changes, the immediate changes that you went through as far as the eating habits and, of course, taking the insulin. What was going through your mind immediately after?
Well, when I first got out of the hospital, like, we were out of town, and so when you're out of town, you basically eat out. So we were out, and there was like I didn't know how much carbs the food had when we were out of town, and I'm thinking, like, when I got out, I thought, oh, that was just like, I was sick and now it's over, and I was about to get something to eat, and they told me that, like, it was just something I'd have to do for the rest of my life. So right then, I just thought, well, I didn't have a gloom and doom attitude. I was just like, well, I guess I'm gonna just have to do this, and I just gotta stay healthy. I mean, I just gotta be more responsible to just help me be stronger. So it wasn't really anything disappointing. I just had an extra responsibility, and now it's still to the day. I just check what I'm gonna eat, check my blood sugar, and take insulin to just make sure I'm on point so I don't have any later complications down the road.
Very good. Now I know other family. You as an entire family, you go through this. How was it with the other family members changing their eating habits and exercise habits and things like that?
That's one thing that I was so proud of, and that our family is close and everybody. It's something that it does truly affect the whole entire family. First of all, the fear that kicks in with the other kids. Am I going to come down with type 1 diabetes? Is Kamal going to be all right? A lot of them were afraid and thought, can he die from this, or is he really going to be okay? And what we were able to do is turn it around to a benefit for our entire family. Everybody changed their eating habits, and the kids actually volunteered to eat less candy, less ice cream and sugary things, because they felt bad, them going to the refrigerator to go get, ice cream, popsicles, cookies, and all those things. And Kamal was not able to have it as much as they were. One thing that has been able to help him is he has an insulin pump. So he started out taking the shots, 6 to 8 shots a day. You have to take insulin with every meal. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, any snack in between, he'd have to get stuck with the needle to get insulin. But on top of that, what people don't really realize is they get poked by what we call a pricker. To check your blood sugar, you have to prick your finger, squeeze out blood, and be able to check to see what your blood sugar is. So we're talking about getting stuck 16 times a day or more, depending on if your blood sugar is running high or not. So it was a truly life-changing thing, and so we all took it upon ourselves to make it easier for Kamal to be able to eat healthier and to change the way that we had our outlook when it came to being more healthy.
Did you feel special?
Well,
You were getting all this attention, and you were everybody's changing their habits around you.
It wasn't really like feeling special, but it was just like I just thought it was benefiting the family in a positive way, and it was just like just still the same responsibilities. Just I have different responsibilities than they do, and I just got to take care of it. And I just saw that me taking care of myself helped the whole family take care of themselves. So I just felt like it was doing the whole family just a favor.
Very good. Now let's get to the comic book. And were you in the hospital when the idea came about, or?
Yeah, I was. I was in the hospital, and they had came over to visit. Like, my mom stayed at the hospital with me, and my dad and my other siblings, they were at a hotel, so they came over and visited. And me and Malcolm were just we were sitting there, we were talking, and like we would always ask our dad to do a comic book. And he would be just wait until you're older. And we looked at his comic books and saw that his comic books always had like a message behind it, like a positive message. It's not.
And tell us who your dad is.
Our dad is Alonzo Washington. He's a community activist, and he does comic books. And like we looked at through the comic books, and we saw there was a positive message behind every comic book that he did. It wasn't just superhero, here's a bad guy, fight him, and it was more to it. So we thought it was like maybe that's why we haven't been able to just like do a comic book when we asked them. So we were thinking like when I was in the hospital, it was nothing for me to read. Like I'm a 9-year-old kid, and it's juvenile diabetes. Mostly kids get it, and it's just this giant book with giant words that I really don't know how to pronounce or understand. It's like glucose, pancreas. I have no clue what it is. So we thought like, what if we made a comic book that's for so adults can understand it and children can, because like if a child gets it, they would want to know what's going on. So we just thought about it. We brought the idea to our dad, and it was just like he was surprised and just he couldn't say no, and just went ahead and let us do our first comic book.
Okay, so tell us about that process. You have the characters in there and the storyline. So
Omega Boy was a character that we had already made up, like based off of our dad's character, Omega Man. And basically the first comic book is dealing about a boy who first gets diabetes like Kamal, and he thinks that he's different from everybody else. He thinks he's like a freak and like treated wrong. So he tries to make the whole world suffer like he does and get diabetes, and Omega Boy has to come and show him the error of his ways and show him that he's just like everybody else. He just has extra responsibility.
And how does you have how many books now?
We have 3 books out. The first 2 are dealing with diabetes, and the third one is with traffic safety and driving safety.
But like the process is we already had the character, so that was like a process out the way, and then we just go with our dad and we just write the script. We come up with like an idea, message behind it, and then we write to it. Like, what's the storyline? What's this? We draw the pictures. He tells us what to write, or like what to draw. We both draw the same picture, and whichever one is better, we compare them, and then we put that one in the comic book. We send it off to be inked, and then we get it to approve that everything was good, and then we send it to be published. And after that, we order the comic books, however many we want. We get the comic books, and then we can just like sell them or like give them away at the events that we go to.
Okay. Now, how is your health now? It's been a few years since first being diagnosed with diabetes. You've gotten used to the process and all of your daily routine that you have to go through. How do you feel now?
Well, I feel a lot better knowing that I'm older and I can understand it more. And like, it really feels no different. People, my friends at school, they're like, it doesn't even seem like you have diabetes. Like, other people with diabetes, they're all drawn in, they're not social, they don't talk to anybody, they just feel alone or whatever. And like, I'm not a dork at the school. I'd have to say I'm like pretty popular, but like they would say that it just doesn't seem like I would have it. And I was like, it's really nothing to like seem like that, because like somebody with diabetes, you wouldn't even have to know, and they could be just like you or whatever. So I just from then I just feel a lot better. I'm more open with it. Like when I first got it, I was a little scared, I gotta admit. Like I was thinking like, how my friends are gonna treat me, what are they gonna think? But now it's just like, I just bring it up front. Like if they ask, yeah, I have diabetes and things like that. So I'm just more comfortable with it and more open.
Okay. We're gonna take a short break and we'll be right back. Hello, we're back with Kamal, Malcolm, and Dana Washington about childhood diabetes and healthy eating choices. On the national level, you guys have been asked to speak at different events and venues, and you received a really special letter here recently.
Right. Their media attention is very, very big, actually.
Okay.
They travel across the country. They've created a tour for a cure, and they travel across the country going to schools, churches, community centers, doing a presentation on the signs, symptoms, and management of diabetes. And what we've done now is to transition that over into childhood obesity as well as type 2 diabetes, because those are things that are on the forefront and the numbers are rising so high in those areas. So we've transcended over and been able to do that. They've received so many awards. I mean, they've been written to by President Bush, President Barack Obama, by Dick Clark, various other different celebrities, the governor of California, and then also Kamal was selected as the JDRF Juvenile Congress, and he was representing the state of Kansas and went to Washington and testified about the need to find a cure for that as well. They've been in People magazine about the comic book, and what they do is to raise awareness about diabetes. And most recently, we've done a new comic book that entails healthy eating and also fighting childhood obesity. And Michelle Obama wrote a letter to Alonzo Washington and signed it personally, congratulating him and commending the work that we're doing to raise awareness about a better healthy eating and lifestyle, as well as physical fitness, and just having a better diet to fight childhood obesity.
She's on the campaign to fight obesity. How do you guys feel about the choices that we have now in the schools? I wanted to ask you that quick question. The vending machines, the snack machines, and the cafeterias, are they very helpful for a child trying to eat healthy?
Well, it's sort of helpful. Like you can choose what you want. They have like juices and different things or salads, but it's also, it can reflect back on the person. Like you have to have the discipline to eat things in portion and not just eat everything all at once. Like it's not like, oh, I can't ever have this or I can't ever have this. It's, you can have it, but you just got to eat it in the right portion, not eat it constantly, or drink pop with every meal. You could either have water or juice, or not just eat the whole bag of chips. Eat like a third or like a half a bag of chips, and not just like have to eat the whole thing.
Okay. We have here on our table a tray from Subway, that you've teamed up with for healthy eating choices. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, one of the challenges that we have faced when it comes to eating healthier and also having type 1 diabetes is when you go out to eat. It's very hard to have a diet, anything on the menu that is healthy and that fits within your diet of trying to eat healthy. And one of the places that we have found that is really trying to do something on the forefront of creating a diabetes-friendlier menu, they have created a campaign called the Scoop It campaign, and that's where they have subs and salads that are lower in calories, lower in fat, and they taste quite well, actually. A lot of the things that are supposed to be good for you, they really don't taste very well. And so the Scoop It campaign has subs and salads that taste good, and they're lower in calories, lower in fat, lower in sodium, and all of that. And so it's really something that we've been able to use. And the featured drink on that diabetes-friendlier menu is called VitaZest. It's a drinking water that has no carbs, no sodium, no calories, but it does have 10 vitamins and minerals that are good for you as well. And they have various different flavors. And so we've really been able to expand that to our whole family. Everybody likes it, and it's really much better for you.
We're going to take another short break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us on Conversations. Joining us is a representative from VitaZest, Derica Morgan. Can you please give us some information about this VitaZest?
Thanks, Robin. Yes, VitaZest is a new vitamin-enhanced water. It is filled with 10 different minerals and vitamins. It is the only vitamin water out there that is approved by the Diabetics Research Institute, which is a huge thing, and which is why that we really support the Washington boys in their fight against diabetes. VitaZest, really, that is our whole campaign, is just to try to combat this disease and try to offer people not only a healthy drink, but also with Subway a healthy meal options at restaurants out here in Kansas City.
Thank you, thank you. And how did you hear about VitaZest?
Well, actually, we found out about it online. We were interested in just finding out more healthy ways to eat, and so we contacted them when we heard that it may be possibly coming in the Kansas City area, and let them know that we wanted to support it, the campaign that they were doing with the Scoop It campaign, and also VitaZest water, because it's something that we wanted here in our local area. I know they've had it in other areas, but we wanted it to come to Kansas City so that we can give Kansas Cityans the opportunity to test it out and to be able to have the option to do that at Subway as well.
Okay, is this how you guys met? Okay.
And it's worked out very, very well for us and for our family. Like I said, as you know, teenagers are very, very picky, and Kamal can tell you himself about, what it was like for him to find something that he liked.
Well, tell us how the taste.
Well, VitaZest is much better than any product that I've tasted. Like other ones, I'll taste it and then it won't taste as good or as good as they say, and I'll be like, oh, I don't really like this. So I tasted this, and it basically tasted like juice, and but it has no carbs or anything, and but it has minerals, and it's healthy for you. So I really liked it because it's healthy for you, but it also tastes real good.
Okay, so besides online, Subway is where they can get?
Yeah, right now all across the greater Kansas City metro area are where we're testing out the whole Scoop It and diabetes campaign. That's where you can find the VitaZest waters. They do come as part of a meal program, so now you don't have to always get a soda or even a diet soda, which that isn't always good for diabetics as well.
True.
And like Kamal was saying, these drinks don't have any carbs. There's no sugar. There's no sodium. So even for people who have high blood pressure issues, this is also a drink that is just beneficial for anyone with any kind of medical problems.
And Malcolm, you've tasted this VitaZest, and you give it your approval?
The other waters, like those that I tasted, just basically tasted like straight water. But it tastes like juice, as Kamal said.
They liked it much better.
Very
and
good.
It's not so much that for them it probably tastes more like juice, but as an adult, they're just looking for something that doesn't taste nasty. So if it's like flat, they're quite fine with it. But it really does taste very good, and we've enjoyed it. And it also tied in conjunction with the comic book that we did on healthy eating. this one, like I said, is transitioning into childhood obesity and also type 2 diabetes. And being that this has no carbs, no sodium, no sugar, and all of those things, it fit into what we were trying to do. The storyline with the comic book, basically Omega Man follows two teens, and he shows them what their future will be like if they continue to eat the way that they do, play video games, never go outside and do anything. So he shows them in the future what will happen to them. One ends up with high blood pressure, one ends up with heart disease, and one ends up having a stroke. So it goes through and it helps them to show them how they can eat healthier by their diet and exercise, and how that really can help them in the long run have a longer and healthier quality of life. And so it's really been a good product. Lincoln University is actually using this comic book in their program. They're giving it away to youth to teach them about how to eat healthy and how to avoid some of those health diseases in the future. So it's really picked up very well, and we are just really, really proud of it. The color in the comic book is great. The artwork is absolutely phenomenal. I'm not just bragging because they're my kids.
Okay.
And for Alonzo with the storyline, the way he's able to transition the message of health into something that's fun and entertaining is just incredible to me. It's unique, and it's really nothing else out there like it. So I would really urge people to, get the information on how they can get this and share it with their families and friends. And it's really something that I think will make a difference in childhood obesity and other diseases that are a part of not eating healthy.
Wonderful, wonderful. How do you guys feel about being asked to come and talk with others about what your experience has been with diabetes and with the comic book and getting so much other attention from high officials? How has that changed you?
Well, it's just like an honor, like that people really wanted to hear the story, and it's just like you can actually be helping someone like that may be what they really needed to hear that day to keep them on the right track. And I just feel good that I'm like giving out the information, keeping people informed about it. And it just makes me feel just I don't know, kind of like a scholar, just to give them that extra reminder, and it's just an honor.
I know you are very proud.
I'm so very proud. I was
Very
just
proud.
took the words out of my mouth.
Very proud.
Very proud of them, because they are, young men, and a lot of adults do not feel comfortable in talking about anything personal when it deals with health. And the way that Kamal has come in and shared his personal testimony, and then Malcolm comes in and reinforces how important it is for family support and everything to support people that have type 1 diabetes or any other illness, how the support of family can make a difference in their outlook on it. So as a family, we've been able to embrace the diagnosis and be able to overcome the challenges and look forward one day to there being a cure for type 1 diabetes, and also through educating the public to reduce the numbers of childhood obesity, heart disease, and all the other illnesses that come about by not eating healthy.
Very good. Thank you guys for being with us. I want to know, where can our viewers get the information from the comic book itself and more information on these two guys?
Well, they can go to the website, which is www.omega7.com, and that is the number 7, OMEGA, the number 7.com. They can also call us direct to get orders to support these young men. All of the funds that come in help to support our Tour for a Cure, so they can call us at 913-321-6764. I will give that out one more time, 913-321-6764. And we always talk about what kids aren't doing, what the bad things that they're doing. We want Kansas City to support Kamal and Malcolm in their efforts and to purchase these comic books so that they can continue to produce these comic books and educate people.
Any final thoughts to the viewers out there?
Well, it's just to control your diabetes and don't let the disease control you. Just to stay on top of it, eat healthy, and just to be. If you do that, then you can be whatever you want to be successful, and stop the chances of later complications.
Jamal, any final
basically
thoughts?
The same thing that he said. If you get diabetes, don't think that it's all gloom and doom. Just do your best to control it.
Well, thank you guys for being with me today. Thank you, Dana, for being here, and Derica, thank you for sharing the information about VitaZest. And I thank you, viewers, for being with us on Conversations. Have a good day.